GTii showcasing some signs of thrust towards the end of the day. Let's go over some of the details now. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. This is ARCa coming at you with a GTii raw price action and statistical threat of analysis. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa. With that said, let's go ahead and dive right into the charts. Okay, so we're going to start off with the immediate short-term time frame analysis, and we're going to look at the 30-minute profile here with the ARC-Series Crypstex indicators, okay, which for the new viewers, for the new listeners, Crypstex Trading has since partnered with me, has endorsed me, and have given me access into some very, very cool indicators that can give us some edge for the trade. Let's go ahead and load the first one. We're going to load DBSI. And also we're going to load our 13-day moving average, which is particular to the DBSI indicator. So DBSI actually takes a cumulative score based on all of the candles, red or green, and it gives us a score based on that count, that statistical count. So we're looking at the bulls under the bears right now, and it could be in the process of changing that perspective. And the reason why I say this is because aside from the fact that being below the 13-day exponential moving average, DBSI considers that to be slightly bearish. We are facing some rejection from that 13-day right now, but it has given us a buy signal, which is usually this blue dot right over here. And it's showing some signs of life. Okay, so this is the immediate short-term time frame, so we have to take this with a grain of salt and further validate our thesis to the upside with other metrics. Okay, so now if you look at the ARC Enhanced MACD, which is also part of those indicators, which by the way are available to you, the indicators are live, so you can actually send me a DM and we'll go over the details as to how to acquire these indicators. Okay, so the enhanced MACD is still showing a short signal. However, if you can see here, we're actually starting to make a move above the Bollinger Bands, which is actually in confluence with what's happening here with the 13-day moving average, exponential moving average. Okay. So let's just take a look at the 15-minute term time frame so that you can see exactly what's going on. The ARC Enhanced MACD is giving us a bull signal there. Okay, and as you can see in the 15-minute, there are signs that the bulls are trying to take control. We are at a cumulative score of 74 versus 26 in the bears. So this could be some signs of life, and I will explain to you also why. Okay, but let's just load one more of the indicators, and this is going to be ARC Armor. Okay, so Armor is comprised of several exponential moving averages, all of them placed together very close to each other, so that we can gauge this wave of motion. The wave of motion allows us to gain a buy and sell signal as well. So as you can see here, I wanted to show you that the ARC Armor is being a little less aggressive by giving us a long signal right down here. Okay, so actually it's the first time it's giving us a long signal since back here, which was let's see, on the 9th, which was Friday. We got that short signal, we got a huge downside move, and now the long signal has printed right down here. So you see the long signal print here, it goes up, short goes down, and now we have a long signal. So we have to see what can happen. Okay, there are short iterations to, where we can actually make a quick move to the upside and then continue on to the downside. But thus far, this is looking pretty good. Let's move on to the next chart now. Okay, so the reason why I'm bringing up this chart in particular is actually for the volume profile. So as you can see here, this large candle had huge sell pressure right here, right? So now the second candle, these are 5-day reads. So we're looking at a 5-day macro perspective here. So this candle here started getting less sell pressure, and now the candle that we're currently on is now starting to diminish greatly. Okay, so the sell pressure is diminishing little by little, which is also in accordance to what we're talking about in the immediate short-term time frame. There could be some bullish action happening around nowish, and I'm going to go ahead and validate this in the next chart. So we're going to be looking at the statistical side of the analysis here. For the new viewers, for the new listeners, please take a gander at this. Okay, so know that this is a trend line that I drew. Okay, it's I'm going to just dim it just a little bit so that you can see that it's not actually part of the indicator itself, okay, as well as this one here. So let's go ahead and just touch bases on what this is doing, or what the backtest or the statistics are. Okay, so in this case, new viewers, you're looking at volatility here, represented by this indicator BBWP. Volatility is direction neutral. We pair it with an indicator similar to this one here, which is called stochastic momentum, which, by the way, is proprietary to TradingView software. And actually, the link is in the description below if you would like to join or start an account with TradingView. It certainly helps me out a lot. Okay, so now the stochastic momentum is what gives us that bias for direction. Okay, I've backtested the stochastic momentum in several tickers before, and it has given me a great score. But in particular to GTii, since I did run a backtest on that, let's just talk about only the stochastic momentum on a 3-day chart. Okay, so throughout the entire trading history of GTii, I have taken note of 11 iterations of which the momentum indicator has guessed the direction of the asset 10 out of those 11 times, giving us a momentum upside accuracy of 90%, so just about 91%. Now, as far as a momentum versus volatility profile, which actually consists of a backtest of its upside thrust versus the duration of the iteration, and also the amount of times that both the volatility versus momentum profile have guessed the upside correctly versus incorrectly. Okay, so the metrics coming back to that are just like, they sound magical. Like, it doesn't even, sometimes it's just a ridiculous number. Okay, so let's go over those now. Momentum versus volatility, out of those 11 iterations, have guessed the upside correctly 7 out of those 11 times, giving us an upside accuracy of 68.63% with an average upside thrust of a massive 3,200%. And throughout the span of about 32.25 days. So this is the average duration. Okay, so it would take this long upon the criteria being met first. Let's go over that criteria now. Okay, so in order for us to validate or to start applying these metrics, we do need the following, no matter what, by law. Okay, or else the police is going to come and chase you. So here we go. So I actually made a drawing here so that you can see exactly what we're looking for. And I actually put this green line here, this horizontal line, so that you can see how we've been progressing thus far. So what we do need is for the volatility component, which is this spectrum line and the moving average, both beyond the critical volatility loading zone, which I consider to be anything above the 90%, represented by this red trend line here. So we do need it above. Potentially, it would be a lot better for us to print these 3-day reads. So the bars are just saying that we've been here for 3 days, for a 3-day period, and now another 3-day period. So that's what they mean. Even in a contractive level, it's the same thing. But here we're talking about full expansion. So we're coming down, we're going up towards the expansive area where it's critical volatility, and then we expect a continuation on to the downside alongside stochastic momentum making a an expansive move towards the upside, while volatility is making that contractive move to the downside. Okay, so here we can see that we're already in the process of doing that. You can see the curvature starting to happen in the stochastic momentum here. So this is starting to play out like we want it to. So there could be a continuation to some downside here, but it could also just be sideways trading. So this is why I mentioned in a few videos before that we may have potentially found the bottom or near the bottom. It's still very much contingent upon this criteria. Okay, so and here too you can actually start to see that the pivot of the volatility component is starting to change. So this is why I mean that it's starting to look like the bears are starting to lose some strength based on the volatility profile. I'm sorry, the volume profile here on the 5-day. So it is minimizing and it is showing signs of life. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the last chart now. So this is going to be the RSI, and we're going to start off with the immediate short-term time frame. For the new viewers and new listeners, I have made a diagram for you to follow. So these 4 zones are the ones that I would like you to focus in on, and they are located right over here, just blown up for your convenience. Okay, so the 30-minute immediate short-term time frame has since made a bullish cross above the moving average, which is represented by this pink line. RSI signal is the purple line. Okay, so I do mention this all the time. When we're in these shallow areas of either zones, a gravitational pull is very likely into the following zone. Okay, so this is very much in that shallow area, so we can expect that gravitational pull fairly soon. Okay, so now the bi-hourly RSI is suggesting an upside continuation as well, and as you can see, we are looking to make that bullish cross above the moving average. However, please bear in mind that this is very close to that shallow area of, in this case, it would actually be the very deep areas of the bear strength percentile. So we would be right down here and prone to diving into the oversold percentile. Okay, so as long as we remain within this shallow area, we are at risk for downside, which is also confluent to what the stochastic momentum is suggesting here. This is not just gonna pop up like that. This is gonna gradually make that upside move, which is something that happened right here to make that upside move, and then we have a gradual change here, and then that's how we made this upside move. Okay, so now what you do need to focus on is that check this out. I'm going to make a quick little trend line here at the bottom, and I'm going to show you where we are historically. Okay, so we are potentially at some of the lowest iterations that have ever happened throughout the entire trading history of GTii. Okay, so the likelihood of starting to make that reversal pivot is greater now. Okay, we do have to practice some patience. I know that you guys are looking at your P&L just going into the red, but I would like to provide a service to you so you can see exactly how the price action is moving according to data, according to mathematics, and signals and patterns. Okay, so in this case, let's go ahead now and move on to the 6-hour time frame. The 6-hour time frame is suggesting a slight downside, and that slight downside is, again, it's in accordance of what we're talking about within the statistical momentum movement. Okay, so we are suggesting some downside here. However, we're in that oversold percentile, so nothing lasts down here for too long before we start making a move to the upside. Okay, so now the daily is what's catching my attention the most. It is definitely an oversold percentile, but as you can see, the pivot opposed to something like this here, it was so aggressive to the downside, right? So as you can see, the pivot is actually starting to slow down its downside suggestion. So this only means that, again, like the volume profile we were looking at here, the diminishing of bear pressure is present. Okay, so I do expect some either sideways trading, slightly bearish, and the immediate short-term time frame could show us some bullish signals, meaning that we could potentially drive up the price just a little bit, maybe even go up to around this. To around maybe the 69.70 cent area, and then finding a retracement back to our current lows or just a little bit lower, but I expect sideways trading. And this is also a little nervous. It makes me feel like the GTii holders are also aware of what's coming on tomorrow and Wednesday with the Fed meet and the talk about inflation. So those are things that we do have to keep in mind. Okay, please know that I'm not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as a form of entertainment. Okay, so I can't actually suggest for you to buy or sell any assets. But with that said, the links for you to consider joining the ARCa trading community are in the description below. Join, say hi on Twitter. The link is there too. But yeah, now with that said, I wish you well, and I wish you a very good night. And I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.